Hello, this is Mike. In this video, I'm going to talk about more rules I use or have used before in my solo games. Some of these rules can be added to any D20 system, some of them grow apart from it. Number 1. Following advice from Professor Dungeon Master, I got rid of normal hit points. Instead, all characters and creatures have only level plus con modifier hit points. And depending on the game, I use variations on this rule. For example, I have a grid game where there is no resurrection and no restoration. So if a character loses an ability, it means she loses a limb or an eye depending on the kind of damage. 2. Partial success, partial failure, or degrees of success and failure. Inspired by the Dungeon World system, I added partial success and failure to rolls. For example, if you succeed on an attack roll by 5 or more, you deal double damage. If you succeed by 10, you deal triple, and so forth. This adds to the no damage rolls in the following way. If you use a two-handed weapon, for example, instead of 5, the difference needed is only 4. If you use two weapons, the difference increases to 7. That way, things that add damage or to hit are instead handled by the failure success range. Number 3. Magic works by rolling a d20 to cast. There are consequences for failure, and again, the partial success failure system plays on magic too. For example, if you fail by 5 or more, your spell turns against the caster, or against your allies, depending on the spell. 4. No dark vision. Instead, my dwarves and orcs have low light vision, meaning they can see in dim light. They are sort of like cats. Their eyes work well with a minimum light, but they can't see in total darkness. 5. No skills. Instead, each character has some knowledge because of upbringing or profession. You still have no points on those, and you can only roll if it makes sense for your profession, class, or whatever knowledge is listed. Gaining knowledge on fields that don't have to do with adventuring can only be done in downtime. The following changes grow apart from D20 systems. 1. 3d8 instead of d20. As explained on my previous video, I use 3d8 instead of 1d20. To summarize, I use 3 dice: luck, heart, and knowledge. Depending on the role, it helps me flesh out descriptions. For example, if a hit was a matter of luck, like the enemy trip, or I failed to hit, but instead hit with my elbow, or if the hit was a matter of heart, for example, if the PC remembered his dead brother and pulled all his soul on one attack, or a matter of knowledge, like if the PC remembered a special technique that helped defeat the giant. Natural triple 8s are way less probable than a natural 20. So a triple 8 means sort of a super critical, dealing permanent damage or something similar. Also, 1/8 on luck means I can reroll and add that to the total. 1 means I reroll and subtract from the result. An 8 on heart means my PC can act as she didn't have any damage and can add the current damage as bonus. And an 8 on knowledge means she can add a knowledge bonus to the total. And of course, I apply these rules to enemies and creatures and NPCs. 2. I don't use Constitution in my solo games. Strength and Constitution merge into one stat called Vitality. Since I don't use hit points, this means this stat is really important. You may think this is OP, but as you lose Vitality, you deal less damage and it's harder for you to hit. 3. I use Soul and Awareness instead of Charisma and Wisdom. Soul works as mana and force of will, and Awareness is perception, investigation, etc. Sometimes when I play on my cell phone, I don't have my books handy, so I use 3 kinds of monsters. Tanks, range, and spellcasters. Tanks have high strength or vitality, range have high dexterity, and spellcasters have high soul. For example, a brute monster will have +3 to strength, +1 to dexterity, and 0 or even negative for mind checks or soul checks. I add levels to these modifiers, and that's it. I have a quick monster. This was inspired by the TTRPG system. And number 5, I usually don't use levels. All my PCs are level 1, and monsters are around that level. Except for big bad evil villains, they will be up 2 or 3 levels, so my PCs will have a greater challenge. And that's it. That's some of the rules I use on my solo games. I have more changes, I think, and I grew apart from the D20 system. And that's one of the advantages of playing solo, that you can test and test and test different house rules, different systems, and find what works for you, right? And well, that's it for today. I hope you like this video. It's been a long time since last time I uploaded a video for personal reasons. And well, I hope this was of use and informative for someone out there. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and goodbye.